Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to EETV Chemistry in Life. Today I'm going to cover a subject which I'm going to go a little slower than normal because the subject I'm covering is kind of interesting, mysterious, as well as fascinating to me as a scientist. The subject today, what we're covering is walnuts. Walnuts and copper. And let me see if I can get my copper coins here. Okay, this is a Ming Dynasty copper coin. Those were the days when coins are made of copper. And today in the United States, they call these coins pennies. In the pennies, they're no longer really copper. They're made mostly of zinc because it's a lot cheaper and easier to make. Maybe even it's not easier, but it's certainly a lot cheaper and consequently leads to quite a bit of potential problems. I'm going to elaborate that. Ladies and gentlemen, in modern days, we live in a world of uncertainties. Such uncertainties are manifested many times in clinics, many times in doctors' offices. Unfortunately, a lot of very important diseases are not detected, perhaps not even known to the doctor. One of them is copper. Copper is a very essential element. Without it, you will get into trouble. Too much of it, you will get into trouble. So the key of copper is balance. Just how much, it varies from person to person, but it's essential that we know the facts. Today you will probably look to your left, look to your right. You will have friends that are high-tempered, had racing thoughts, emotionally unstable, insomnia. Does this sound familiar? These are signs of copper imbalance. And also there are plenty of dietary supplements. Okay, people trying to sell you bottles after bottles. How many of them would have told you there's no way you can ingest copper as a supplement because mineral copper is by nature toxic to your body. The only copper that is safe to you are organically bound copper. So I'm going to cover a subject called walnut and copper today for that purpose, just to enhance my belief that it's time for us to take some note and do some changes in our lives to ensure that you are healthy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask my colleague when I'm doing this presentation to simultaneously post some of my PowerPoint projections so that you'll be able to look into the details, what I'm talking about. So one of the lesson number one we should remember is not to fix exactly how much copper you are going to eat, because under normal circumstances you will have plenty of copper from beef as well as from other sources, especially from nuts. Earlier I mentioned that we're dealing with subjects I'm mystified by the essays that was written in 1550s approximately in Ming Dynasty. There's a very famous Chinese doctor called Dr. Li. In Mandarin it's called Li Shizhen. In Cantonese called Lei Xizhen. Dr. Li had quoted in his book, his very encyclopedic book, 本草纲目. That's basically a collection of essays talking about all Chinese medicines. And he systematically classified the Chinese into fruits, vegetables, into different sections, and with his own personal notes. What brought all the respect for Dr. Li around the world, not just from me, from all scientists around the world is the following. Shockingly, Dr. Lee's short notations on variety of, it's not even folk, to them it was a scientific investigation. Some of these recipes for curing or treating certain patients and diseases works. It works. So trying to brush off the so-called we know better, that's just not true. Okay? It is likely that we don't know any better. It is likely what we know today is no more than what the medicine had covered in the past. It's just that we look at it differently. It's shocking for me to realize that there is a statement, quoted on my slide number 4. When you ingest a cup of corn, okay, with walnuts, I'm talking about the meat as well as the skin that's wrapping the meat inside. Now that's vital. I'll come to that point later. Now, eating this cup of corn, okay, together with the walnuts, you will be able to defecate this. In other words, eliminate from your body very soon, having the corn pulverized. Now, I don't have the heart to do that experiment yet. I need a little bit more research to ensure that when I eat this, okay, I will not be causing any trouble for myself. But, little kids are very famous for putting things in their mouth. For example, in the United States alone today, there are numerous children, especially children under poverty line, people who are not well guarded. Children eat the paint drop-offs, even around the balcony. The lead paint causes severe anemia, vomiting, and all kind of disease, and worst of them all, that will be lead poisoning of the nervous system, such that the intelligence quotient, the IQ per se, is dropping depending on the amount of lead that's consumed. Now, our subject today is not lead. Our subject today is copper. Is copper toxic? I can tell you no. Allow me in a few seconds, and I would mention Dr. Lee. He was born in 1518, and he died at 1593, right before 1600. These are the coins of his period. I check into the chemical composition of these coins. They were made of pure copper. Pure in the sense that that's what they can do at that point. At least this is copper, not zinc or not iron, copper, zinc, tin amalgamate. This is a sort of a pure copper. And pure copper, in terms of chemistry, is not toxic. You can eat it, okay? It's not going to cause any real damages to you. But if you take a look at some of these old coins, you take a look at the back there, there's a greenish tint, there's a black color there. Those are due to the oxidized product. The green comes from cupric, which is, a copper atom loses 2 electrons. That always give you that green color. That's typical of copper. That's how you detect copper a lot of times. Okay, the black color is copper oxide. Now these are soluble, and they will react with hydrochloric acid. Now, why would I mention hydrochloric acid? Human is not made of such a strong acid. You'll be wrong. Our gastric juice, our stomach juice, is made of one normal hydrochloric acid. Your food goes in, it actually will chew it up. So when you got a copper corn that's green, okay, and once you get it in there, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to give you a lot of bubbles, a lot of immediate, vigorous reaction, which I will show in my slide later. The most fascinating point, okay, what Dr. Lee had mentioned in one of his famous recipes is that this too. what brains Dr. Lee come up with this observation? But when you ingest a copper coin and walnut, okay, you will be able to get rid of the copper coin very easily and smoothly. Is there any chemistry behind it? Is there any, you just can't, to me, I think it's observable. One of these days, I promise you I'll probably do that experiment. But it's kind of a little dirty, so I'm a little hesitant in doing so. I will also show you on a slide number 8, a dog had eaten and chewed a bunch of pennies. Now this happened in the United States, and pennies on the surface is copper, but inside the core of the penny is actually made of zinc. And zinc, when you ingest too much zinc, it's toxic. And that dog was intoxicated, not because of copper, but it was because of zinc. So luckily, today, I don't know about the chemical composition of Hong Kong, but in earlier part of our Chinese history at least, when copper is still simply just copper, and that's not toxic. That's not to say the green tarnish is not. The green tarnish could be toxic. One of the key things for us today to remember is the following. I deliberately mentioned zinc because, chemically speaking, consumption of zinc and consumption of copper are very tricky. I will be extremely hesitant to take zinc or copper from any supplements. Why not just go after a few nuts? Hazelnuts, walnuts. These got enough copper in that naturally. The key is the following. All copper are toxic. Unless it's organically bounded naturally the way it's encased in here. We therefore should take special note, and you should understand, okay? Eat broad spectrum of food so that you have a well-balanced supply of nutrients. In the event that you eat too much zinc, and zinc can cause you a hell of headache, you can take my word for it. In terms of, you might wonder what is the mechanism, okay? Remember the Star Wars movie star, Dr. Spock? Now, Dr. Spock claimed that his hemoglobin, his blood system, his hemoglobin, the entity that carries oxygen around to supply the whole body, so that you can breathe, so that you can survive. Okay, if I choke your arteries here for 7 seconds effectively, cut off circulation, you'll be a dead guy. That's simply because of oxygen. For people who have too much copper, what happens is the copper will choke the hemoglobin, okay, and you will not be able to carry oxygen effectively, and therefore it will cause all kind of disease. This is one of the notations I want you to take home. Now, Dr. Spock and space, this is slide number 10. I would have my assistant show you the slide later. Dr. Spock, his blood is made of a copper core. Now, that's legend. He's not a human being. You and I are just regular earthy people. Copper also elicits certain emotional things, okay? Because the imbalance of copper will get you to evoke your, what we call the crocodile brain. Our brain is made of one layer, which is the primitive layer, which is when before we had the larger brain covering it. Those were the days when we were just no more than a crocodile. We were actually very aggressive, defensive, emotionally unstable, irrational, and nervous, etc. That actually describes some of the city folks today, okay? Think about their mind-racing phenomena, think about their insomnia, think about their nervousness, think about their irritability. So all these tells you copper imbalance is dangerous, and most likely your doctor will not be aware of the cause, because how often your doctor will check your copper level? I am sure they don't. Let's talk a little bit of chemistry, since this is chemistry in life. Remember one thing, which is very easy for you to remember. Copper and zinc had a reverse relationship. That is, when you have excess copper, okay, and then you will have a diminished copper, excess zinc, you will have diminished copper content. Okay, that's a key for you to remember. Second key for you to remember, rarely you will be copper deficient. So do not take copper supplement. There's no point. If you do so, okay, that will be at your own risk. My recommendation, go nuts. On slide number 13, now I'm going to show you a slide where I put one of these coins that's already heavily tarnished with green and black, that is oxidized copper, and I will be able to demonstrate with a little movie, okay, and I'm going to show you right now, and I'm sure my guy will show you a little later. See, this is the, if you take a look at this carefully, this is the copper coin. I'm injecting this thing with hydrochloric acid. And you can see the reaction is immediate and the reaction is very vigorous. I did an experiment. Okay, in view of the content, in view of what was written by Dr. Lee, I chewed up some walnuts and I put in the appropriate amount of hydrochloric acid and bring the pH to the digestive level, which is pH 3.5 approximately. This is in slide number 17. When the coin was put in the acid, with a control, of course, in pure hydrochloric acid, okay, and the effect, surprisingly, the effect is copper with the walnut, copper without the walnut actually are different. Different in the sense that there were a lot more chewing on the copper coin in the presence of walnut than in the presence of just the hydrochloric acid. So there is a detectable difference. But by no means digesting the copper coin with a bunch of walnuts would enable the coin to be totally crushed. So I have my reservation about the recipe that you eat walnuts, okay, the meat that is, eat walnuts with the copper coin that will give you a pulverized copper. And that story is yet to be proven. And slide number 18, I'll be able to show you the detectable difference. You can see there are more stuff that's surrounding the copper coin, as well as the front and back. Okay. So let's ask ourselves a question. What brings copper and walnuts together as a whole? Think about our ancestors who had the wisdom of bringing these two together. Okay, as a modern man, okay, I can confirm with you that the copper actually will chemically react with the tannins in the skin. 90% of the tannin is actually inside the skin of the walnut, in other words, the thin film of material that covers the meat. Now, these tannins will react, will chelate copper, and that's a modern day research. Okay, so what the earlier doctors had already observed, that there is a relationship between copper chelation, destruction of copper, okay, and today's modern science. There's no if and no but. The coordination chemistry is well demonstrated, and you're welcome to take a look at our PowerPoint presentation along with this little movie. Now, let's get back to walnuts. If you want to be a beautiful girl, if you want your skin to be shiny, if you want to stay balanced with copper, if you want to sleep well, if you want to stop coughing, or if you have an ED problem, that is for those who had problem in the bedroom, for each one of these symptoms, there are plenty and there are verifiable and very efficient ways to deal with it. And as slide number 20, 19, 20, all the way up, I've copied down all the old recipes that's available, and each one of these recipes are most likely valid then, valid today, and I'm sure it will be valid in the future. Now, this is a side issue, just in case, okay, you are thinking about the way Chinese medicine works. Okay, why I have so much respect for Chinese medicine? Ladies and gentlemen, most of our modern medicine actually derived from the herbal resources. We didn't make them in the lab. For synthetic things that's totally made in the laboratory, I always had a very serious concern about it, because your body is not equipped to handle it. And Dr. Li is a doctor that specialized in Chinese classical medical practices. And each one of these doctors are very well versed in terms of acupuncture points, because they know where to push, where your acupressure, or what we call meridian points are. And I'm not going to go into details. For those who are interested in reading, please refer to slide number 32. The Chinese doctors early on, this is 1500s or so, or even much earlier, they have already been dealing with the adrenal cortex, although they don't call it as such. Okay, right above the kidney, there are a bunch of tissues there. That's not really your heart, lung, etc. They are not cavities. There are substantial amount of glands, endocrine system that actually respond to the pineal body from your brain all the way to the adrenal cortex, all the way to the heart. And the Chinese doctor has linked them up all together with 46 meridian points. But for those who are interested in Chinese medicine, one of the key issues not to neglect is the what they call the triple foci. That's foci, F-O-C-I. That is the Latin word for focus. Okay, in Chinese, in Cantonese, we call Sam Jiu. In Mandarin, we call San Jiao. Before I end the essay today, I want to examining a little bit more about the nervous system we had. When we had imbalance of copper, okay, and one of the problems is the way our neurotransmission was done. And one of the most famous neurotransmitter, you know, that is norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is an excitatory neurotransmitter, and copper will interfere with that. Okay, should it be imbalanced? And I call this the yin and yang of norepinephrine. Before I end this essay, I want to give you another interesting experiment that I have personally carried out, and that is slide number 49, number 50, 51, and 52. I want my assistant to show you these slides. Okay, you see this hair? You see this baldness? Years ago, okay, I started to lose my hair, and today it's actually a big problem. Now, for those of you who haven't lost your hair, you're still young, there is a way you can stop losing hair, including ladies, okay? Think about a lady with no hair, how you know, unsightly it can be. So there is a simple way to deal with it. And as you can see, I have pictorially demonstrated how it is done. Okay, see this styling today is combed with walnut, a Chinese herbal medicine, and pine leaves. I made my own hair cream, and that will stop hair loss. Before I leave you entirely, I want to mention the beauty of modern technology. You know, in the past few years, there was some dramatic publications. Everywhere you go, you see this word nanotechnology. Cosmetic-wise, women like to put sunblocks, sunscreens, using zinc oxide, titanium oxide, nanoparticles inside that cream. Now, we mentioned that anything that's artificial, it drives me nuts, because your body, physiologically speaking, okay, from prehistoric days, from the days life was discovered, okay, life existed until today, we do not have a system to deal with man-made material. For example, styrofoam. A styrofoam box, you can bury them in the ground for 500 years, nothing will happen, because there's no natural enzyme to degrade the polystyrenes that's linked up in such a fashion. And this particular linkage, you need a particular enzyme, and those are not designed yet. Same thing. So next time when you put sunblocks in your face, take a look at the label. It says nanotechnology improved and make you look better. Forget the look. You want to block the sun. If you don't use your own sweat and dry dirt to block the sun, you choose to use some chemical at your own risk. And the last thing I want you to do is to use nanotechnology. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not the worst. The worst signal I can give you is the following. Copper, as I mentioned, I don't mind to eat it. I don't mind to test it because copper is not toxic. If you toss this thing inside hydrochloric acid for weeks and weeks, nothing will happen. This is a noble metal. There's 2 electrons. It's very hard to pluck it off. It's pretty, the spins are all yin and yang coupled. It's not that easy. So it's not easy to oxidize copper. It's not easy to oxidize sulfur. It's not easy to oxidize gold. We all know that. Okay, but when you start to do nanotechnology, when you do nanoparticles, I want to show you slide number 50. There was an experiment done by a bunch of scientists on mice, okay, and they plucked the kidney out. Those that's intoxicated by nanoparticles of copper turn blue-green. The mice is dead. So nanoparticles of copper is a no-no. That also translates to the following concern. For those wax that's made of copper, or even with nanotechnology, okay, be very, very careful. Don't play with God. Ladies and gentlemen, this is EETV, and we made this documentation for you, for your privilege and for your entertainment on July 5th, 2015. It's copyright. It's meant to not to be rebroadcasted or copied. Thank you very much.